What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel. This is Eric, and today we got Matt, we got Isaac. We're talking San Diego Padres. This is they are from FRIAR TALK, so make sure to go subscribe, go check out the podcast, check out the YouTube channel. I'll put the link down below. But how y'all been doing?
Been doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good.
Doing all right?
Yeah, doing pretty good. I mean, Padres went to the NLCS last year. Can't complain.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, obviously y'all have been proving every single off season, been going crazy with the moves, and then you had 2021, a little bit of a disappointment. Giants had that big year, but then last year you make the playoffs, win like 89 games, you knock out the Dodgers, you get all the way to NLCS, and then this off season you signed Bogarts. You had a pretty big off season with the free agents. Let's take a look, bring up the list here real quick. Yeah, you signed Bogarts, Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, Matt Carpenter, and a whole bunch of minor league contracts. Nelson Cruz, see what he can do. But yeah, I just wanted to see what your overall thoughts are on the off season, and if you guys are better, or you lost a few guys too, but you think you're better or worse than last year?
I think we're significantly better. I don't think it's like that drastic outside of Xander Bogaerts, but overall, I feel like this is a team that you add a star in Xander Bogaerts, you add some depth in Nelson Cruz, Matt Carpenter to the lineup, and then you lose Brandon Drury and Josh Bell, but that almost feels like you're kind of swapping those guys out for other players that you're hoping can be middle tier players for you. I find the Carpenter and Nelson Cruz signings really interesting, just because if one of those guys is really good, that's going to be massive, and this lineup's going to look insanely deep. But I feel like the real way that this team is going to get better is because Fernando's back. You're getting a full season of Juan Soto, and all of a sudden you start looking, you start counting, you go, well, the first four guys in the lineup are so crazy that Cronenworth, Nelson Cruz, Matt Carpenter, these guys are hitting 6th, 5th. You have Ha-Seong Kim, who had a great season last year, hitting 7th, and the only part of your lineup that's on that strong is your 8th and 9th spot. So that's really good. Yeah. That's really exciting. I think once again, what it's really going to come down to for the Padres, and we saw them kind of struggle with this in 2021, but can you stay healthy on the pitching front? Because I feel like, at least we feel this way, you have 3 guys in your starting rotation that you're really, really comfortable with, and then it drops down a little bit. So I feel like that's kind of where I guess my concern would be, but then they go and they add a bunch of pitching depth as well. So if your top 3 guys are healthy, looking to make a similar run to last year.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough start to the offseason in terms of, not even a tough start, but I guess a tough end of February, early March, because Joe Musgrove dropped the weight.
Oh yeah,
big toe. So I mean, he's already ramping up. I think he's only about a week and a half in, but he's already starting to throw some bullpens. He says he's feeling good. Asked him, what's your pain level throwing these bullpens? He said only a 2. So that's pretty big news. But, coming from, with those free agents, Xander Bogaerts obviously being the biggest one, going to plug in at shortstop. I mean, you look at some of the deals around the league. Javi Baez last year got 23.3 AAV. Xander Bogaerts just got 25 million AAV, and he put up a 6.1 F4 last year. He was the leader of the Red Sox. He's commanded a ton of respect in that clubhouse, and I think that's something that's going to be huge for the Padres. A guy that, he's not going to hit 25, 30 home runs, but he's consistently around 280, 290 batting average, even higher last year. And, at 830 to 850 OPS, significantly improved on the defensive front, becoming one of the top defensive shortstops last year. So that was, massive improvement from Xander Bogaerts in the defensive department, and we know what to expect in the offensive department. I think the only thing that might be tough for him is kind of adjusting to Petco Park, which last year was one of the top 5 toughest ballparks to hit in last year. At one point, it was one of the toughest ballparks to hit in all of MLB history last year. So that might be a little bit of a tough adjustment, but I got full confidence in Xander Bogaerts to be able to do it. Seth Lugo, another big one, going to probably plug into that 5th, 6th spot. But I don't really know what to expect from him, coming from a bullpen role with the Mets and kind of a bullpen role all throughout his career. He didn't have much success as a starter. Going to be interesting to see how that goes. Matt brought up Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter. Nelson Cruz coming off a down year. It's not the kind of year we expect from Boomstick. I think he only hit like 10 home runs, but apparently he was having some significant eye problems. He got some surgery to get that fixed, and hopefully we can expect 20 to 25 bombs from Nelson Cruz, and some good production out of that DH spot from both Carpenter and Cruz.
Yeah, for sure. I know Cruz was so. I mean, he's older, obviously, but it wasn't long ago. He crushed, I think, 40 home runs a couple years back. So definitely has the potential to have a big year. He's got that kind of swing where he can keep hitting into his 40s. And then this is just a sample lineup. I know it doesn't have Tatis Jr. Obviously going to be back real quick. I think this lineup is deep. I think it's better than the Dodgers lineup because I just did a Dodgers preview. They, for the first time in years, actually not the scariest lineup that I've ever seen. So now you guys picking up Bogarts. You got Soto. You got Machado. You got Cronenworth. Talked about Cruz. Picked up Carpenter. For now, Kim. Then Grisham and Austin Nola. As it's a pretty deep lineup, pretty scary lineup, especially when you throw Tatis Jr. in there. And then you got some good names coming off the bench. You signed Odor. Not sure how he's been looking, but what are your thoughts here on the offense?
I would say overall, this has got to, I mean, at least in my life, this is easily the best offense the Padres have ever had. I think it's going to be interesting to see where they finish. So let's say everyone's really healthy. They might finish like 3-4 best overall lineup in terms of production. But I think it's going to be interesting because they're playing at Petco, a park where everyone's numbers get really deflated. And you might look at opposing teams' numbers and be like, well, these guys are scoring, 2-3 more runs, let's say like 2 runs more a game at Petco on average than other teams, but it's just a lot lower. So I don't know how they're going to finish, but I think in terms of how that lineup stacks up against anyone else's, it can stack up against any other lineup. I think the Phillies, when Bryce Harper's healthy, are absolutely terrifying, but in the NL West, it's the best. It's the first time that it's been better than the Dodgers in a long time, but the Dodgers have some question marks. The Giants have some question marks. I think the Diamondbacks are a little bit up and coming, but I think they're a couple years away still, and the Rockies aren't very good. But in their division, they're one of the best. In the MLB, I mean, the only two lineups I think that are really like in this tier with them are probably I would say the Astros and the Phillies.
Definitely,
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Isaac?
I completely agree with you, Matt. I mean, the Astros and the Phillies are two of the top lineups in baseball. They both went to the World Series last year, and even though the Phillies aren't going to start with Bryce Harper, when he gets back, that's a deadly lineup. But when you look at the Padres lineup from top to bottom, last year we were coming in with, of course, Manny Machado is our top guy, but Jake Cronenworth was our second guy, and we talked about it last year. I don't know if Jake Cronenworth is the kind of guy you want, and don't get me wrong, he's a great hitter, but he's not the kind of guy you want as sort of the second best guy in your lineup. And now he's probably fifth when Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back. You got Xander Bogaerts, just mentioned him, probably putting up a good 830 to 850 OPS. Not going to slug a bunch of home runs, but batting average and on-base percentage is definitely going to be there. Juan Soto, the young Ted Williams, probably going to be, high 400s, next $500 million man. And that's a guy that, we're expecting is going to put up like a 7 WAR, finish top 3 in MVP voting. Manny Machado, hopefully another top 5 MVP finish. But overall, this is a very good lineup. Ha-Seong Kim is a guy, he's in his 3rd year in the MLB from Korea. And in the 3rd year is when guys from, the leagues in Korea, the leagues from Japan, that's when they normally pop off. So hopefully he's able to put up, I believe last year he put up like a 720 OPS. Hopefully he goes up to like a 740, 750. But that Gold Glove defense is definitely going to be there all the time. But overall, a very deep lineup. I think the only weakness I think is a weakness is catcher. Austin Nola, he doesn't hit for much power. I believe only had 2 home runs last year, had a 650, 670 OPS. So it was not a very impressive offensive season for Austin Nola. Luis Campusano, a very young catcher, has some problems with even making contact in general, I would say. But when he gets a hold of the ball, he hits it really, really hard. But the problem is he hasn't been able to hold his own behind the plate. So hopefully he's able to find that this year. He's a little banged up right now, but we really need him to come through. And then the depth, there's a couple guys fighting for some spots, but overall this Padres lineup is a top 5 lineup in baseball.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was just looking over it when I did the Dodgers preview the other day. I was like, dang, man, Padres look better, at least offensively. Dodgers look good. Their pitching looks really good, but y'all, obviously, like you said, Joe Musgrove will be back, but right now it's listed. You got Darvish, you got Blake Snell, Michael Wacha, Nick Martinez, Seth Lugo, and of course you're going to throw Joe Musgrove in there, which is, of course, I mean, he's going to have to be in that rotation, but still, even without him, it still looks pretty good. So, especially with Darvish and Snell. Darvish, I'm not sure. I think he's been looking good lately. I'm not sure. You let me know, but what do you think about this rotation?
I think the rotation's pretty good. I think that this team, in terms of their pitching, I think their strength is honestly their bullpen. I expect Josh Hader to be, back to who Josh Hader is, because he basically had 1 month where he wasn't, and everyone's kind of been like, oh, Josh Hader's not that good anymore, which is crazy. But I think in terms of the rotation, it's very top heavy. I think adding Michael Wacha is huge. Nick Martinez is looking like he looks like he's poised to take on a starter role and do pretty good. So if one of those three guys in Wacha, Martinez, or Lugo pan out and are solid, and Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove can stay healthy. Musgrove, I guess he's coming back to becoming healthy, but it's just like a very minor injury. But if one of those three guys can be solid and can be better than either Mike Clevenger or Sean Manaea, this team is going to be really scary, I think. And so I think it's just health. I think Darvish is going to put up another good season. I was very happy that they extended him. I think the Padres fan base was a little bit torn on that, just because he's going to be older, but his stuff plays. He doesn't need to throw high velocity. He's able to win in other areas. He's, his location and pitch mix is some of the best in the league. Blake Snell's in a contract year. This is probably the last year that Blake Snell's going to be on this team. And I feel like Blake Snell on a contract year is a guy that could just go absolutely ballistic and could end up just having a fantastic season. So I'm very comfortable with the top three. I don't know if they can truly match up against anyone, but I think paired with this lineup, they're able to. And if just one of those three guys on your back end, I'm a lot more confident in either Martinez or Wacha, but I think one of those two guys, or Lugo, if he's able to do it, could be really exciting. And I'll toss out one other name just because he's been playing really well in spring training and could be in kind of a swing role. Jay Groom. Jay Groom, they traded for him last year in the Hosmer deal when they were basically just dumping Hosmer. But he's looked really good so far in spring and has been performing really well. So overall, pretty strong rotation.
Yeah, awesome. I like it too. But like you said, it's not. I think, once you throw Musgrove in there, you could get Darvish, Snell, Musgrove. That's three big names. Again, I don't know what kind of seasons they'll have, but I was just looking at you, Darvish, and he definitely was good enough last year. 16-8, 3.1 ERA. So Darvish is still elite. But what do you think, Isaac?
Yeah, Darvish is still on top of his game. He's one of those pitching geeks that he's gonna look into all these spin rates and all these different kind of pitches, and he's gonna do his best to get the best type of spin rate possible and everything like that. So I fully expect you, Darvish, to have another season in the 3.1, 3.2, 3.3 ERA, and he's gonna remain our ace. Blake Snell, like Matt said, he's on a contract year. He's looking to get a bag next year. So, he's going to have to do really well. And I think something that prevents him from getting all the money that he expects is that he has a really down first half of the year up until the All-Star break. Blake Snell is like a almost 5 ERA pitcher, both last year and the year before. After the All-Star break, he has a sub 2.5 ERA. So now it's a matter of how are you going to turn that into a consistent 2.5 to 3 ERA throughout the season? Because you look at Blake Snell's ERA last year, and it was ballooned because of that pretty bad first half, and he gets it down to, I believe, what is it, like a 3.8, 3.7 maybe. But overall, he was one of the top three pitchers after the All-Star break last year. He looked magnificent. Hopefully we're able to get that for a longer period of time than just the back few months. Joe Musgrove gonna keep doing his thing. Michael Wacha is an interesting one just because we signed him pretty late in the off season. Coming off a pretty good year with the Red Sox, I believe around a 3.5 ERA. I don't know what really to expect from him, but he is going to be our fourth or fifth starter. So, we're looking for around a high 3, low 4 ERA, and we'll be fine with the way we expect this offense to operate. Nick Martinez is interesting because I feel like it gets forgotten that Nick Martinez coming into the league was consistently a starter. So it's not like he has to work up to be a starter. It's a matter of he has to get back onto that starter's regimen, whereas last year he came in as a starter but knew he was going to go to that reliever role. And Matt, you brought up that whole Sean Manaea, Mike Clevenger thing. And you're right. Last year we came in with 7 or 8 capable pitchers. This year we're coming in with, I believe it's Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove as your 3 that you're fully relying on. Michael Wacha, you could probably throw him in there as well. Nick Martinez and Seth Lugo are some question marks. Just because, who knows how they're going to pan out for a whole 162 game season for 30 to 35 starts. But overall, I think this is a good pitching rotation. I don't think it's great, but I think it's going to be sufficient enough to get the Padres to where they want to go.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Especially with that offense, they're going to put a bunch of runs on the board, and y'all are going to win a bunch of games just by outscoring teams. Yeah, you mentioned you like the bullpen. Just give me a few more thoughts if you could on. I got a few names right here. Obviously, you have Pomerantz still in there, Tim Hill still there, Josh Hader. Josh Hader's awesome. Even though he had some tough moments, I think, last year, but he's still Josh Hader, and he's only 29, so he's about to be 29, still young. He's got some other names here like Jose Lopez and others as well, Steven Wilson. So, just any other thoughts on the bullpen?
Yeah, I would just say in terms of the bullpen, I think that you look at the projections right now, and for the top three guys, you got Hader, Robert Suarez, who was a rookie last year. I want to say he's 32, so he's very, very late bloomer. And then Luis Garcia. They're projected, Hader's projected to have a 2.8, Suarez is projected to have a 3.4, Garcia is projected to have a 3.5, and then you also have Pomerantz. If he can be healthy, that's going to be so dangerous in the back end. That's a big if, because he's just not been healthy the last couple years. And then Steven Wilson, Tim Hill, Nabil Chrismat, Jose Lopez, other capable names as well. So I think that it's pretty. I think their depth and also just their overall high end talent is really, really good.
I think it's a really good bullpen. Of course, a bullpen's not going to be talked about a lot for any baseball team, but this bullpen definitely deserves some recognition. Josh Hader is going to hold his own as one of the top 5 closers in all of baseball. In the playoffs, he looked so good, and it's crazy. Someone looked better than him. I thought Robert Suarez looked better than Josh Hader in the playoffs. Really held his own against the Dodgers, and unfortunately, he threw this one pitch to Bryce Harper that killed our season. It ended our season, but he threw a really good changeup before that. I don't know how Bryce Harper laid off of. But this is a really good bullpen. I mean, all those guys you see at the top are capable of closing a game. Luis Garcia in the closer role last year was very well. Robert Suarez didn't start his closer role very well last season. And on opening day, they took him deep and the Diamondbacks walked off on us. But other than that, he was pretty good in that role. I think kind of the thing that other teams don't want the Padres to have, the weapon they don't want us to have, should be Drew Pomerantz. Because if you add Drew Pomerantz to this already formidable bullpen, the Drew Pomerantz that we're talking about, the Drew Pomerantz that we know, he was our best reliever for years, or like 1 or 2 years, I guess you could say. But that would make the Padres bullpen probably top 5 in all of baseball. Steven Wilson's a guy that throws, high 90s fastball. I don't really know his pitch mix too well. Tim Hill, of course, we know what to expect from Tim Hill. And Nabil Chrismat, capable of starting games. He's starting games on the WBC right now. So, he's probably that long reliever role. But, Matt brought up Jay Groom earlier. And that's someone that we kind of expect to go into that, if we need a start, hopefully he can give us a start. But a swing role is going to be good for Jay Groom, kind of similar to Nick Martinez last year. But overall, very good bullpen.
For sure. And that's y'all team, and it looks really strong. I usually go over the prospects too that might make an impact, but it looks like most of your guys, at least at the top, are way down in the system. You may not see them this year, but is there any of these guys you think might help make an impact, or anyone you want to talk about here?
The only guy that I feel super confident in making impact this year is probably Jay Groom. I brought him up briefly. Maybe Iggy Rosario as well, but I forget what he did. I want to say he broke his leg. But he's going to be out for a few months. Oh, okay. So he's not going to be available for a while. So that's kind of a question mark there. There have been some rumors that Jackson Merrill could make a debut this year. And while I think it's unlikely, I think it just goes to show like how far along he's come, and he's only 19 years old. So they could easily wait until the next season, but he might be a September call up. But Salas, probably the guy's going to be a top prospect soon. He's 16 years old. Zavala, teenager. Dylan Lesko, I'm pretty sure he's a teenager. Victor Lizarraga, he's a teenager. Like, all these guys are super, super young. So outside of those couple names, maybe Tirso Ornelas as well, but I don't really see that happening. I don't know. Isaac, do you think there's anyone else, like anyone I'm missing that could make an impact?
No, I don't really think there's any names on here that can make an immediate impact this year. I think the most likely, like Matt said, is going to be Jay Groom. I think only us, Padre fans know that, this guy at one point was a first-round pick. He was 12th overall pick by the Red Sox. And it's not his talent that's prevented him from coming up and being a reliable pitcher in the league. It's injuries. He's been consistently
Yeah.
injured, and the injury bug has hit him really hard. So, hopefully this year coming in, he doesn't get injured and he's able to give us a good 50 to 60 innings, I'm hoping for. Just because, I don't really expect too much from a guy that has an injury history, hasn't had too many innings lately. But Jay Grimm's definitely a guy that we're going to be looking at as a guy that hopefully can give us some starts and can definitely go into that swing role in the bullpen. That's the only guy I can think of. Eggy Rosario, unfortunately, yeah, he did get injured, but that was a guy that we were pretty excited for to go into the depth role, to go in kind of a utility role. But that's unfortunate that we lost him so early. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the prospects. I think kind of another guy, unfortunately, he got hurt today, Adrian Morejon. He got hurt today. He had some sort of elbow injury. Hopefully it's not too drastic, but that is also a guy that was a top 5 prospect, I believe, in the Padres organization. He was very hyped up. He was kind of the prize of one of our international classes, and he's also been hit by the injury bug, but hoping for the best for him too.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I guess the last thing, just the division here coming into this year, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Dodgers, I think Dodgers for the first time, didn't get better. They got a little bit worse. Obviously they had to, release Bauer. He's not going to be in their rotation, and they lost a lot of other guys. And I don't know. I just looked at their lineup. I was like, yeah, it's not as strong. They have a good pitching staff. I know you're Padres fans. You might pick them to win the division. But what do you think? Do you think the Padres have a legitimate shot to, or do you think they'll actually do it, win the division this year, or are you looking to win a wild card again, or what do you think? And are you worried at all about? The Giants could surprise like 2021, but honestly, even I'm a Giants fan, and I don't really expect that. So, what are your thoughts overall on the division, though?
I think that the Padres should be I don't know. It's hard. I think they are going to be favored, but I also wouldn't be surprised at all if the Dodgers win over 100 games and a couple guys that are younger in their team offensively end up playing really well. If Syndergaard has a bounce back season, some stuff like that, I could easily see it where the Padres are maybe the better team heading into the playoffs, but the Dodgers end up, scraping by and they both win 100 games, or they both win 95 plus games. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I think your goal and your expectation is definitely the division, but I don't think if you win a wild card, it's like, oh, they weren't good enough. Like, you could still be the second best team in the NL or the third best team in the NL and not win the division. Yeah,
and then you go ahead and beat them anyway, like last year. So just knock them out in the playoffs, and this time you just try to push it a little bit further, get into the World Series. And what do you think?
I'm kind of torn because, of course, as a Padres fan, I do want to say the Padres are going to win the division. Adding Xander Bogaerts and some of the pitching depth that they added, it's a great team, and there's going to be a full season with Juan Soto. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to be coming back. Last year, without all these guys for a full season, we got 89 wins. So now you think, wow, what can we get this year? I think this Padres team is a 95-win team. I think it's a team that can probably win the division. However, yes, the Dodgers got worse, but were they bad enough to downgrade a whole fifth? Because remember, last year they got 110, 111 wins.
Yeah.
Did they downgrade enough to lose 15 to 20 wins? Because I don't think they did. I still think they're around a 93 to 95 win team. James Outman and Miguel Vargas, those are going to be two prospects that they're going to be relying on to come up, but I also think they're pretty good players. Unfortunately, an injury to Gavin Lux is going to kind of hinder them from maybe getting the shortstop production that they expect, but Miguel Rojas, he's a good defender. I don't think he's a very good hitter, but we'll see how that goes. But overall, their pitching staff is still pretty good. Julio Urias is going to be their ace. Clayton Kershaw, that's going to be a question mark just because he's still got really, really good stuff, but he's been suffering a lot of injuries lately. Dustin May, Matt and I have talked about Dustin May to a long extent. That guy's got some of the best stuff I think in the league. So, coming off Tommy John, this is going to be another healthy year for him, and I do expect big things from him, unfortunately. But yeah, that is a good team. I do expect the Padres to. I think they're going to win the division. I do think the Padres are going to win the division. However, I think come trade deadline, you're going to be looking at, both these teams need either a starting pitcher or something in their lineup. For the Padres, it's probably going to be a starting pitcher, but we've kind of emptied our farm system. However, we still got one guy in Jackson Merrill who, hey, the Padres might, if Corbin Burns or the right piece comes along where we say we might have to get rid of Jackson Merrill, we're going to do it. But a team that could legitimately unload the farm because they have one of the top farm systems in baseball is the Dodgers. So come trade deadline, they're going to be scary. They're going to be very scary. And we're going to have to watch to see what they do. But overall, I do think the Padres will win. As you know, with these rosters right now, I think the Dodgers will come in second, probably behind like 3 wins. And I don't really expect the Giants to compete with the Dodgers and the Padres. However, I think they're going to be a contender for that 6th wildcard spot.
I hope. That's what I try. That's what I want to hear, man. That's good. I appreciate. We got Mania now, so we're good. So
Yeah,
I know he was with y'all last year. I don't.
yeah, he
I was
was.
just kind of kidding. I'm just kind of kidding. He's not going to. I think win at a World Series for you on his own. He's just a pretty good pitcher. But yeah, we didn't make any major splashes. We thought we had Judge, but we didn't. We thought we had Correa, but we didn't. So we just signed guys like Haniger and just decent players. So we'll see. We got I can't remember. Oh yeah, Ross Stripling. I couldn't remember his name, but decent offseason, but not like y'all. I mean, y'all signed like serious superstar players. So it's just gonna have to be another magical year like 2021, and that doesn't happen too often. So you never know, though. Have y'all talked about all the rule changes and the clock? And I mean, I was curious how you feel about all this.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about it too much in depth on our channel, but
I know
I'm not okay. I'll say I'm not the biggest fan of the pitch clock. I'm not. I think I'd be more accepting of it if it was 20 seconds. I think 20 seconds is better.
Yeah.
I think 15 is not enough. If it were 20,
No.
I think we'd be pretty happy as a general crowd. And of course, starting the season, because it's so new to many of us, it's going to be hard for us to really accept it. However, I think it's going to be too hard for us to adapt, or even the players, to just 15 seconds. I think 20 is perfect. Of course, as a baseball guy, playing baseball and everything, I don't like the pitch clock in general. But if there's going to be a pitch clock, I'd rather have it be 20 to 25 seconds. But other than that, I guess I don't like the pickoff rule. But other than that, I like that they're trying to limit the shift. There's, of course, going to be some loopholes, but I like that they're trying to limit the shift, and I like everything else that they're doing.
sounds good.
I would say the only thing I'm not a biggest fan of, I don't really like the idea of limiting the shift. I actually think it's kind of doing the opposite of what they want it to do. I think that they're like, oh, it's going to create more offense, but it's going to create less insane highlight plays. Because when you put your third baseman in shallow right, and you have Manny Machado laying out or having diving catches like in foul territory on the other side of the field, it's pretty remarkable. So I think that one kind of hurts him, but I like the pitch clock. I think it's going to be a little bit awkward, but I think once that kind of gets over, I think it'll be whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blatantly wrong, but I don't think that the bigger bases are going to do that much. I think that the limiting the pickoffs is going to cause a lot more stolen bases, and I also just think it's going to create base runners be more aggressive. So I like that one, but yeah, the only one I don't like is the shift.
Yeah, it's going to create more stolen bases and probably more pickoffs, because guys are going to get just crazy leads, especially if the pitcher's already thrown over twice. You can get the biggest lead as you want because you can only throw it over one more time. So that is the one thing, though. I was thinking over the years, like, you want to speed up the game, stop that. Make it so the pitcher can't throw over there 100 times, because that's just I get pissed off at games. Like, stop throwing it over there, bro. Pitch the ball. So I kind of like it. I just didn't think it could happen. I was like, well, they can't, because then guys will just steal. That's what's going to happen. So anyway, I appreciate y'all coming on. I'll let you guys get back to your work and everything. So make sure everyone go subscribe today, and check out the link down in the description. I'll put a pinned comment. So go subscribe to FRIAR Talk, especially if you're a Padres fan. You probably already subscribed, but make sure to go do that. So I appreciate y'all coming on.
Thank you.
See you guys. Yeah, no problem. See you guys next time.